Hi, this is Lynn Schnebley with Educating with Wisdom, and I'm about to add this to another piece. I want to point out that everything I'm going to show you online, including the videos, are online and they're within a free domain. So I'm not claiming that I have discovered any of these. I'm simply showing you what it is. This is why God, the hand of God and the Gabriel have all pointed out that Cancer will now be known as the lobster, and you are to remember what your next tree of life could be looking like. This is graphic. This is what we are doing to humanity. This is what we're doing to the animals. This is what we're doing to the planet. And they want several aspects of the Zodiac to be renamed, not based on NASA, not based on the 13, not based on the Vatican. God has handed us what the Shahi wants this to be, and I'm going to call it Jesus, because it is the Nazarati. It is the long-haired person. Let's come out of here, and I'm adding this to the beginning because I want you to understand why this is happening. Eating a lobster alive. It clearly tells us we may not do this. All right, this is one of many. This was December the 12th, 2012. By the way, G for us and the government has been eating me alive. This seems to be okay. This is what are you doing to the aborted children? Gentlemen, you were warned. Again, this is under...
Still alive. Let me see. See? Still alive. Uh-oh. Still alive.
And it goes on. This is beyond what's happening in Maine.
Here's on. We're here. Yeah. Not your home.
No, I guess not. Well, it's all here. Lobsters are, and we're talking about a lot of animals, a lot of seafood. All right, so I don't want to go into all of this. We do this not just with our lobster. We have a whole section of crabs in Florida that we harvest, and we tear their limbs off and throw them back in. What we do to human beings, what we do to babies, what we're doing to animals with nanotechnology, you name it, this is okay. This is the constellation of clearly Cancer, and it's not the 13th at all. It is not the 13th. We're not talking about 13 constellations. NASA, you're a complete liar. There are actually more constellations that come up than that, but only 12 are noted for the Zodiac. So Cancer is now to be known as the lobster. And I go in and I discuss this further into this video. Put me on pause. And the renaming of Cancer and the renaming of several of your zodiacs, as well as the movement of month to the beginning of an astrological month, which was something that I was already addressing last year in July, and it was set for the case. I already knew that this was going to happen, but I did not understand how God was going to link this together. And you're going to see this in the rest of this video. So this is Educating with Wisdom, and I'm the ambassador for Heaven's creating and protecting goddesses and archangels over life. I will say namaste, but I don't know where your God inside of you is. think the Hindus have a lot of work cut out for them. Some of the Jews will be teaching some of these things as well. I have. Anyway. What are you doing? Hi, this is Lynn Schnebley with Educating with Wisdom, and I'm the ambassador for Heaven's creating and protecting goddesses and archangels over life. Lord, please help me to do this in the right way. Thank you, Jesus. All right, this is actually going with the hand of God and protection through consequences. I tried to amalgamate two together so that I could take something down and leave something simple up, much simpler up. And they double videoed. I don't know how that happened. So I'm going to add this, and I'm going to get this done within 10 minutes. This is going back to that period of time when I recognized in January the 21st of this year, that what I had pronounced in June of last year, when the LGBTQ gentleman pulling up his shirt, showing me all of his rash all over his chest, I mean, I knew he was sent. He told me he was going to rise up. He told me his partner's name was Adam. I mean, he came out of an FBI house. I mean, it was incredible. The name, I don't even want to go into it right now. But when I did that, within a month, Jeffrey Epstein was picked up. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell is picked up. We're sort of at a similar point, but it's far worse, and I warned everyone about 2020. I did that back in 2011, what was coming up. So when we talk about your reincarnation and what's going to happen and the fact that you're going to come back as a lower life, Genesis makes it clear in Genesis 6, 7, 8, 9, that the problems are not the animals. The problems are human men. And it doesn't say it's since his youth in Genesis 8. It says since the Nori, which are, it sounds like the Celts. The Noris were a group of Celts. But I'm going to leave that there. Let's go in and take a look at when the government had agreed to Elon Musk sending up his tens of thousands of satellites to exterminate you. Their bunkers are already done under the ground. The virus, but which is may or may not be a virus, but in their vaccines last fall, I got an injection, which my mother got as well. And it has gone in throughout the lymphatic system in my arm. It felt like granules, particles. And when I realized that we had both gotten it, that it caused lymphing and raising, it caused swelling throughout my lymph nodes, it was in my arms, and that it still hurts often at times, I realized that they had sent particles in, and I said, wow, this is like nanotechnology, and I began researching it. So all of this began to come together. The Fiona Hill coming in as a drag queen with an erection coming off the elevator. I mean, there's so much there that your government agrees to. And unfortunately, well, let's just go into what the next life is going to look like, because the Bible made it clear, and you have people of other faiths that make it clear, that reincarnation is real. And that's discussed in the Old Testament. It's also discussed in Revelations. It's also discussed in the New Testament and other areas. It was the church that said, no, it isn't going to happen. So let's come out of me. And I'm backing up these. Remember, I want to, Cancer is under the 4. Now, some of this is pretty gruesome, and I'm sorry to say. So let's come in to this. And it was at this time when I saw this movie, which was on the 21st of January, literally the beginning of Aquarius, which is now going to be Nut. That's one of them for the goddess. This is what I saw on TV. I was watching the movie The Prophecy. Let's see if it opens. We might have to put me on pause so we can get it going. Oh, here it goes. So this is from The Prophecy. Let's see if I can open this up. The three-piece trident. And he's looking at the prophecy, and all of a sudden when he gets to this, the Archangel of Gabriel, here we go, and it's called The Prophecy. When we get to this, I say that's Cancer, that's yin yang, that was my number at school. At the same time, it was my number at church. It's the 69 also of Psalms. And there's the moon. Oh my goodness. As it turns out, Gabriel is actually a female, should be a female angel over life and also revelations, but also over the life of humans. And I guess for the Sumerians, it was for the mountain as well. What are the words for drop this and you have for the mountain? So when I saw this, let's remember the 69 because they made that into the crab. And you're going to see where I saw this. Let's come out. And all of a sudden, and I'm telling them that I know because of what the white people have been doing, Nostradamus predicts that in the future, white women will not be reproducing because of what white men have done. And the men behind me, this is clearly African American, this is Native American or Native Hispanic, this is Chinese. There are no white women shown here. Let's come down here and you'll see where it gets picked up. Let's put us on pause. Now, what that meant when they showed that, it confirmed that you will be reincarnated into a next life. Because although your clergy and your religion has made God look stupid, which is true, your science and common sense has reaffirmed some of the aspects of the religion that they discounted. And because it has reaffirmed that, the fact that animals have feelings, that animals are real, that animals may have souls, that women and men are really equal, that men actually have less DNA than women. The Y chromosome, which isn't really a Y, actually has less DNA than the female X. There's all kinds of things that are out there. The new translations of the Bible, the new archaeology that's coming out that does not support the misogyny that's been out there. All these things are out there. But still you are working on the evilness of these prior paradigms. So Jesus says that when you completely work against everything is when the total judgment is going to happen again. And so now you're sitting on it. And because you defy even the basics of human life, we have to look at for the first time, and Hinduism is going to have to help us with us, that the reincarnation, well, let's come back in here and you will understand. You're not allowed to tear animals apart while they're alive. So what we do with those crabs down here, we just take off the claws and throw them back. You're not allowed to do that to animals. What you're going to see that the Japanese sushi chefs are doing with lobsters, I've got to do this really quickly because it makes me sick. This was a pistol. This is where you're going to see this. All right, here's that yin yang. Here is this. Here is the lobster. These are the configurations of the three moons, which as it turns out is not just for the Magdala and the Mary. This is my Sagittarius for the Artemis. my reconfigurations are very strong, but here's the lobster. And as it turns out, lobster is locust. It's a water locust. It's affiliated with the destroyer Apollo, which is now going to be represented. And it's kind of this Y that you're going to see that Cancer really looks like. So here we have, once again, we have the V for the chalice. We have the 3 moons. I have 3 master 11s, 1, 2. My kids are an 11, 7, 11, 7, 22. Master 11s, they ring very loudly. My son was even 7 pounds, 11 ounces. That's today, his birthday. My mother is a 10, 7, 10, which was yesterday. But on December the 12th, and that's where the Artemis, or actually the Hippas, goes from Ephesus over to Mexico in the Guadalupe of December the 12th. So let's take a look at this, and then we're going to come into here, and we're going to just take again a look at this. This is Cancer. Notice it does not look like a crab. And I had already written about it. It's already in my discussion as I understood. Let's remember, this is what Cancer really looks like. It does not look like a crab. For a moment, let's just take a look at the constellation of Pisces. This is really the size of Aries next to Pisces. Pisces is really not like a fish. It really is like a uterus. It's like the chalice. It's like the flower. It could be the horns. This is the size of Aries. But let's come back again and look at the constellation. And this is why Nostradamus, and I had already realized I was going to call it the sign of the family, because it is about the household, the 4th house. There is not 13 constellations. There are actually more constellations that come up on the horizon, but only 12 are part of the official zodiac, and none of the astrologers are going with this. This is ridiculous. This was a diabolical thing NASA came up with because Leo didn't like the fact of what was going to happen to him. Okay, the occult did not. So let's remember, this is what Cancer looks like. And that is why, put me on pause. So this is why in that lost book of Nostradamus that is online, and I have the citation above, this is the pistil for the lobster, which is what it's called when it has its limbs cut off. It's all broken off here. This is now over the tree of life, and this began when Jupiter was in Scorpio. This was the Meghan Markle. It is the moated, it is the spotted, half black, half white lamb with the horns, which is, she was the second beast found in Revelations. This is Scorpio, and this is when it occurred. So when in Scorpio is this occurring? Remember, we are cutting apart, and this is the hand of God, and he wants all of these paradigms that the age of man have set up. He wants everything taken apart, and this is now your next life. This is your tree of life because of what you did, and you knew what you wrote and what you did was wrong. Oh dear me. So this would have been from about the springtime of 2018 until her birthday. So it began around the time when I forbade her to get married. Forbade it. I forbade this to happen. But at the same time, we were now discussing during this age that began when my case went out, what was happening to animals and their abuse, not just in the farms, but how we were eating them alive. Let's come out of this. Genesis, after the flood, when God says, okay, I'll let you eat meat. But you cannot eat meat that has the life of an animal in it, and you may not tear the limbs off of a living animal and eat it. You may not do that. We may not behave like the animals. I once again asked the Japanese and others, how can you act the way you are? How can we be doing what we're doing to animals? How can you be doing what you did to me or what you're doing to other whistleblowers? How do you tear us apart, and literally eat our life out? And so what's God supposed to do with you? You did it to yourselves. You have sex with dolls. You tear people apart. You put animals wrapped up in nanotechnology into people's bodies, really to experiment on them and destroy them. You deal with, I don't know how you read my thoughts other than dealing with demons and who then type onto your internet. I have no idea how you do that. But the FBI and they told me that you would know exactly what I was doing in my home, and you let me know this from the spring of 2012, and I have been reporting it ever since, and I've gone to the FBI and the CIA. So there is no possibility here. There's just no possibility. There's just no possibility. You did it to yourselves. And you were warned, but your clergy did not. Whether they're the Buddhist, whether they are the Shintoist, whether they're the Catholics, whether they're the Baptist, your clergy clearly worked for Satan, because they certainly weren't working for heaven. I guess I have to say goodnight, and I will do my best to represent Elizabeth I and turn this around. I will do my best. I will do my best to represent God in heaven. I will do my best. I will do my best. But I will tell you, I am Enosh. I am mortal. I'm going to add this most graphic thing on to the beginning of this so that I can grab everyone's attention quickly. Let's go in, and this makes me sick to look at this. Besides the fact of how we bring up animals, what we're doing to animals, how we slaughter animals, all of the environment that we destroy in order to be those bad people that Genesis points out. Genesis points out from day one that it's the farmer against the herder. It's the farmer against the meat-eater herder who engages in all these other mining and wicked things. And it points it out, except they absolutely cross the reality in Genesis. And it tells you right in the beginning, you are to eat the seeds of the fields and the grains and the fruits and things like that. That is the meat for, but they absolutely cross it. So the Cain and Abel story is an absolutely crossing of what is correct. So let's come out of me, and we're going to end with a picture which is so awesome. But remember, this is what we're doing with life, and this is what you're doing to human life, and this is what you're doing with abortions, and don't well, I think this is probably going to be the worst. I think I have to.
Still alive. Let me see. See? Still alive. 嗯
但是我们这个
我要录下来了。
value 是
嗯。
9块。
Still alive, still alive.
别
Hey,
动手，快吓人！
They tore off his back.
poor guys, eaten alive.
我触点在动哎。
Hey, oh, let's see.
秃顶的那个，就是
你看，那就是59块7毛。
Eaten alive.
Is that you gonna eat it? Oh, they put the false. Let's go. Are you gonna take me eating it?
Yes.
Exactly. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
I don't think yum really feel good.
Perfect.
Wow, that's really good.
Would you like more ginger?
I'll take this ginger. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back and see if there's another one.
So, how was?
You did that to me, by the way. What are you doing to the little kids that you abort? I'm not talking about rape and incest. They don't have a right. No, they don't. Nope. But everything else. Notify the father and notify his family. That's what you do. Start there.